Man, these figs are suffering out here in the cold. While these beauties are just doing fantastic inside our little grow room. Let's check it out again. And man, let me tell you, this grow room is way too hot. Now it's actually a little bit cooler, just a few degrees cooler than it was yesterday. And it all depends on what the outside temperature is doing. It fluctuates a little bit in here, even though it's insulated fairly well. Let's take a look at what these guys are doing in here in these tents, and then we're going to talk about what is happening in this room right now and what I really need to do to get this climate a little better controlled. All right, so here's what we've got going on right now, and geez, that black Madeira is looking gorgeous. Look at that. Ben's Golden Riverside just taking off great, but here's the biggest problem I've had. So I have not potted these up yet. I just haven't had the time. I need to get to it this week, but this black Madeira KK, it just got too hot in here. So like I said, that light got turned back on after it had slipped out of the socket there. And now I've had a full couple days of light on these plants and in this grow room, and the heat is building up like crazy in here. So I think I have a total of somewhere around 900 watts, 1,000 watts going in this room. And it just heated up too much. It got to 90 degrees. It might have been 92 degrees the other day. And I missed this watering by probably, I don't know, 8 hours. And it dried up. The leaves all just hung way down. Everything kind of shriveled up. These guys started dying back. And I about flipped out. I came and just watered this heavily, put a couple little trays under there and just filled them up. I've been filling these trays up just about every day, actually every day over the last 3 or 4 days since that happened. And so these things are just soaking up water like crazy. I've been watering these every day since that happened. You can see those roots are really just starting to take off and take hold in there. Really cool to see, but it's way too hot in here. And so I need to decrease the temperature down just a hair. I'd like to get this back to 80 degrees. I felt like things were doing really well at 80 degrees, maybe 80 to 84. When it hit 90, 92, I can feel it in here right now. It's 56% humidity. I could drop the humidity more and then it might feel a little cooler, but this heat is just out of control. So the plan is I'm coming up here and we are going to probably on the back wall here, I'm thinking on this side and on this side, I'm going to cut right through the insulation, the wood, the metal, all of it. And we're going to install just some vented louver kind of system, maybe 4 or 6 inch. One side will have a fan attached to just suck air out. And on the other side, it'll just have some louvers that can open and close to allow cool air in. And we'll keep them separated far enough apart to where I'm not just blowing hot air out and sucking it right back in. But something like that needs to happen because this room is just, it's keeping the heat in, especially since we were at a lot colder a couple weeks ago, and now it's getting up into the 40s, mid 40s during the day, even maybe getting close to 50. I haven't looked at the temps in a while. But when that happens, the heat in here just starts cranking. So what is the ideal temperature in here? Well, I'm still trying to figure that out, but I liked it best now that I've gone through a range of like, I don't know, somewhere around 65 degrees I've had it in here, all the way up to about 92. And I felt like I liked it best in here. The plants liked it best. Everything with the humidity, the temperature, it all just kind of jived real well. Somewhere between 80 and 84 degrees. Anything more than that started just getting too much. Even 84 is a little on the upper end there, but somewhere around 80 degrees, I really liked it. When I started dropping the temperatures down into the 70s too much and got closer to 75, 73, somewhere in that range, everything was doing real well, but the figs were not putting on this just massive, lush growth like they are around 80 degrees. So if you're wondering what the perfect temperatures in a grow room are, or you're growing in your house, typically residential houses are somewhere around 70 degrees. People keep them 68, 72, somewhere in there. You might want to crank up the temp just a little bit to get things going better. And so, I'm obviously able to do this out here because I'm in my well house and it's just a completely separate room from the rest of my house. I don't have to mess with the inside of my house too much, which I don't think Shelly would let me do, but she probably wouldn't want me having a forest in my house like Crazy Eddie. On that note, I'm going to try and post more frequently with this little grow setup because I am really excited about this setup, and I am more convinced now than ever that this is the way to go. And I do want to say, first and foremost, we all owe this to Crazy Eddie. And I mean that sincerely, because before this, I had no intention on growing these figs indoors all the way out to fruit. In fact, somebody did say on the channel the other day, hey Mike, what are you doing this for? The electric bill is going to cost like a crazy amount and you're putting in a lot of work to this. You know, what are you doing all this for? A couple figs to eat? And he said something along those lines, and he goes, or is this just for fun? And I said, yep, just for fun. So here's the deal. This is a lot of fun for me, and everybody's got their own hobbies. But if you guys love doing this, and if you haven't experienced it yet, you should try it. But if you love doing this, then it doesn't really matter how much time you've put into it. And of course, money matters to a certain extent, but everybody's got a hobby and people spend a lot of money on hobbies. So I mentioned that in the other video. So to answer that question, yeah, this is for fun, but it's not just a couple figs. If you watch Figgy Ed's channel, you'll see that guy is growing hundreds of figs. And I'm not just trying to pump this guy up and promote him. I legitimately am impressed with what he's doing. And with every new video he posts, it just confirms to me that what I'm doing here is the right way to go for these figs now in my climate. Since I posted that last video a couple days ago, people are coming out of the woodwork saying, hey man, I'm really glad that you mentioned this because I live in the Pacific Northwest or even an area on the East Coast that just stays cooler and has a shorter growing season. And they're saying, I cannot get these really, Mediterranean style figs to ripen in my area. It's just, sometimes it's on the edge and they'll get there, but they won't finish. And people are just saying, I'm glad you're coming out with this because I'm getting tired of beating my head against a wall too. And it's funny because I beat my head against the wall. I put so much effort and time to that orchard. I put so much effort and time into my outdoor potted figs. We just don't get the heat through the summer like the New Englanders do. Even in my garage, having the potted figs in the garage and then waking them up, bringing them out there, it just wasn't working out the way I wanted it to. And this is working out the way I want it to. So anyway, first and foremost, I owe all of this to Figgy Ed for pushing me and giving me the drive. Now, he said something to me at one point because we've been talking back and forth. And he said, Mike, if you're going to do this, man, you got to do this big. You can't just monkey around. He said, because this is my baby. And I love what I'm doing here. And I'm passionate about this. I just don't have the viewership you have. And, he said, if you're going to do this, you got to go all the way. And so this is kind of an homage to Eddie. And so this is my way of trying to go all the way. Now, as we go further, I've got a lot of different little topics that I want to talk about with you guys. It includes the temperature in this room and where I think the ideal temp is. Not just what I think is the ideal temp. I'm not just giving you my thoughts. I'm giving you real life experience. And so over the last month, I've been playing with these temps, and right about 80 degrees is where I like it. So, we're going to go over topics like that. We're going to talk about the electricity. We're going to talk about the bug issue. We're going to talk about every single little tiny nook and cranny detail that I can think of, and Eddie can supply me with idea-wise, or you guys. By the way, like this video if you like it, and you subscribe if you want to follow along and see all this. It really helps get it out there to more people. And like I said, this is not about me. This is an homage to Eddie. This whole little grow series in here. Because I'm learning from him. He is the spark. He is the motivation that got me fired up about this. But we're going to go over all these little topics that I can think of as I'm going along growing these things here. And all the way out to fruit. And I'm going to try and post more frequently for you guys. I know I have not been the best at that lately, but I'm starting to kind of get on a ball with this thing. And we'll just see where we can go with it. Man, it is hot in this room. It literally feels like Phoenix weather, even though it's only 87 degrees right now, 56% humidity. It is scorching hot in here. So one of the videos we're going to do is I'm going to be putting some holes in this barn, and we're going to be venting this thing, and then I'll let you know how that goes. But I am ultimately trying to create an ideal room that is completely climate controlled with beautiful lighting that can grow these awesome figs out to fruit. So let's just call this thing a documentation of everything I'm doing here in this grow room. We're going to cover it all over the next months, however long it takes to get some fruit out of these things. And I'll try to post more frequently and give you all those little details. Each video will be mainly, kind of focused on one little topic on what I'm doing. Like, I want to go over the electricity costs because that was big with Eddie. Like I said, this is driven by him. So I want to go over the electric costs. He really wanted to get the info out there that it is not as expensive as people think it is. And he's absolutely right. It's not as expensive as I thought it was. So I'll take you through a little video on how I come up with the electricity costs and how you can, before you even buy a light, how you can figure out what's this going to cost me in my area for electricity, and can I even afford that? And we'll try to come up with ways you can afford it, stuff like that. So I'm going to try and keep each video pointed in a certain direction, but on this whole entire situation that we've got going on in here. I do have some other projects I'm working on. We've got the rhododendron seeds, so I will be posting, throwing little things like that out in between. And we're coming on to spring, so excited for that to happen. Rhododendrons are going to be blooming soon. It's still early February. It's February 9th today, so we got a little ways to go for that. But the springtime is coming. I hope you guys are excited, or at least springtime's coming for us in the Northern Hemisphere. Australians are basking in the sun right now, as well as the South Africans. But our time is coming. All right. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this one. If you did, you know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to follow along. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios. Here we are, a little over halfway through the day. 94.8. Look at that frowny face. Definitely need to get some kind of ventilation going.